The geopolitical temperature in the Middle East has just hit the boiling point. President Trump's State of the Union address didn't just review the year, it issued a direct, high-stakes ultimatum to Tehran. Despite Operation Midnight Hammer dismantling Iran's nuclear facilities last year, intelligence now confirms they are rebuilding at a frantic pace. Trump was clear, they want to start all over again, pursuing sinister ambitions. But this time, Washington isn't just sending a message via a teleprompter. While the president spoke, a baker's dozen of F-22 Raptors, the most sophisticated air dominance fighters in history, were touching down in southern Israel. This is no longer about diplomatic shadow boxing. We are seeing a massive injection of high-value military assets into the theater. On one side, the U.S. has two carrier strike groups, the USS Gerald R. Ford and the Abraham Lincoln, converging on the region. On the other, Iran is reportedly hours away from acquiring China's CM-302, a supersonic carrier killer missile that travels at Mach 3. We are witnessing brinksmanship at Mach speed, where a single miscalculation on either side could trigger a force-on-force confrontation that the global economy simply cannot afford. I'm Camilo Motato, a certified public accountant reporting for 2 News. In my profession, we analyze asset depreciation and risk mitigation. When the Pentagon deploys the F-22, they are deploying a $200 million per unit asset with a flight hour cost that would make most Fortune 500 CEOs tremble. But as a CPA, I see this as an insurance policy. The F-22 isn't there to fight a fair war. It's there to ensure that the cost of aggression for Iran becomes mathematically impossible to sustain. Today, we audit the kill web being built around Iran and the Chinese carrier killer that's trying to punch a hole through it. To understand the current tension, we have to look at the residual value of Operation Midnight Hammer from June 2025. U.S. bunker busters and tomahawks took out Fordo, Natanz, and Isfahan. On paper, the nuclear program was wiped out. But as any accountant knows, a write-off is only permanent if you remove the infrastructure. Trump is now stating that Iran is rebuilding fast, utilizing deep underground facilities layered with new reinforced concrete and steel. The intelligence indicates sinister ambitions, a code word for weaponization. The negotiations in Geneva are effectively deadlocked because Iran refuses to put its ballistic missiles or its regional proxies on the ledger. They want a nuclear-only deal that leaves their asymmetric assets untouched. From a strategic auditing perspective, that's a qualified opinion. It's a deal with too many hidden liabilities for Washington to sign. Iran's countermove is purely asymmetric. They are nearing a deal for China's CM-302 supersonic anti-ship missile. Let's look at the specs. Mach 3 speeds, that's 2,300 miles per hour. It flies a sea-skimming profile, hogging the waves to stay under the radar horizon until the last possible second. As a CPA, I look at the success probability. In the narrow confines of the Persian Gulf or the Strait of Hormuz, a Mach 3 missile compresses the response window for an Aegis destroyer from minutes to mere seconds. Iran doesn't need 1,000 of these. They only need one to hit a $13 billion aircraft carrier to change the entire geopolitical balance sheet. China has been flying cargo planes into Iran for weeks. They say it's fireworks for the Ayatollah's birthday. But in the world of high-stakes auditing, we call that unverified inventory. There is a high probability that these carrier killers are already sitting in Iranian shore batteries. This is why the F-22s in Israel are the ace in the hole. The F-22 Raptor is the undisputed king of the skies for one technical reason: the AN/APG-77 AESA radar. The system allows the Raptor to see the bad guys first, track 50 targets simultaneously, and fire before the enemy even knows they are being painted. By positioning these in southern Israel, the US has created a stealth air dominance umbrella that covers Iran's western flank. The Raptors' job is SEAD, suppression of enemy air defenses. They are the ghost shooters, designed to punch holes in Iran's radar network, jam the Chinese-made CM-302 guidance systems, and clear a path for the B-2 stealth bombers on standby in Diego Garcia. This is maximum deterrence, backed by the most expensive titanium and software on the planet. As an accountant, I always look at maintenance and operations costs to determine the health of an organization. If we apply this to the Iranian military, the results are catastrophic. Just recently, an Iranian AH-1 Cobra helicopter crashed in Isfahan, killing 4 people. This follows a string of crashes involving aging F-4 Phantoms and other 1970s-era airframes. What this reveals is a maintenance deficit. Iran's conventional air force is essentially a graveyard of flying museum pieces. They lack the spare parts, the technical expertise, and the fiscal resources to maintain a modern fleet. This is exactly why Tehran is obsessed with asymmetric warfare. They know their F-14s, which we should probably steal for a Top Gun 3 movie, can't survive a single minute against an F-22. So, they pivot their entire budget into ballistic missiles and proxies. From a resource allocation standpoint, they have written off their air force and are betting everything on one-way assets like drones and missiles. If Iran launches the Chinese CM-302, the US response isn't just fingers crossed. It's an integrated kill web. The primary defender here is the SM-6 Standard missile launched from Aegis destroyers. As a CPA, I analyze redundancy systems. The SM-6 is the ultimate MVP because it has active radar homing and is specifically designed to hit maneuvering supersonic targets. It creates a layered defense, or what I call an onion of protection. Outer layer: F-22s and F-35s intercepting the launch platforms. Middle layer: SM-6 missiles hitting the CM-302 in mid-flight. Inner layer: the Phalanx gun system shredding anything that gets through. While China claims their missile can bob and weave, the US Navy's data link system, the E-2D Hawkeye, provides a cooperative engagement capability. It's like having a master accountant looking at the books of every ship in the fleet at once, ensuring that no threat goes unrecorded. Now, let's get into the 4D chess of the State of the Union. Trump's rhetoric isn't just tough talk. It's a valuation adjustment for the Geneva talks. By highlighting that Iran is rebuilding fast, he is setting the stage for a preemptive audit. If diplomacy fails, he has already established the just cause for Operation Midnight Hammer 2.0. He is tying the nuclear threat to the ballistic missile range. Why? Because a nuclear warhead is a non-performing asset if you can't deliver it. By claiming Iranian missiles will soon reach the US East Coast, he is raising the risk premium for every American citizen. He is signaling to the Ayatollah that the cost of non-compliance is the total liquidation of the regime's military assets. Let's run a sensitivity analysis on a hypothetical scenario. If Geneva collapses tomorrow and Iran tests a CM-302 by firing it near a US carrier as a show of force, what happens? The F-22s in Israel would go from maximum deterrence to active suppression in seconds. Their radars would feed real-time data to the carriers, while B-2 bombers would be authorized to hit the rebuilt structures at Natanz. In this scenario, Iran's $500 million pact for Russian Berba missiles becomes irrelevant. You can't shoot down a B-2 at 50,000 feet with a shoulder-fired missile. The asymmetric play fails when the stealth asset dominates the ledger. The final audit of the Middle East on February 26 shows a region that is over-leveraged for war. The arrival of the F-22s in Israel is the final signature on a policy of total air dominance. Trump has made it clear, the US will not accept a deal that leaves the nuclear or missile threats off book. But here is the question for you. Is the F-22 enough to keep the peace? Or has the introduction of Chinese supersonic missiles created a systemic risk that we can't hedge against? Are we looking at a new Operation Midnight Hammer? Or is this just the ultimate high-stakes negotiation before a final signature in Geneva? Let me know in the comments below. As a CPA, I see the risk profiles rising every hour. What do you see on the horizon? I'm Camilo Motato, Certified Public Accountant for 2 News. Thank you for staying for this 9-minute strategic audit. Subscribe to stay updated on the numbers that drive the world's most dangerous conflicts. Stay informed and stay safe.